Now we have a new president in Mexico. Supposed a very nice woman. They say I haven't met her, and I'm going to inform her on day one or sooner that if they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America. And it's only got a 100% chance of working, because if that doesn't work, I'll make it 50. And if that doesn't work, I'll make it 75 for the tough guys, and I'll make it 100.
Donald Trump. Si un porcentaje de lo que Estados Unidos destina a la guerra se dedica a la construcción de la paz y al desarrollo, se estará atendiendo de fondo la movilidad de las personas. La epidemia de fentanilo en los Estados Unidos es un problema de consumo y de salud pública de la sociedad de su país. El 70% de las armas ilegales incautadas a delincuentes en México proviene de su país. Las armas no las producimos nosotros. Las drogas sintéticas no las consumimos nosotros. Los muertos por la delincuencia para responder a la demanda de drogas de su país, lamentablemente lo ponemos nosotros. No es con amenazas ni con aranceles como se va a atender el fenómeno migratorio ni el consumo de drogas en Estados Unidos. A un arancel vendrá otro en respuesta. Causaría a Estados Unidos y a México inflación y pérdidas de empleo. Atentamente, Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo.
I said to my kids, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. Raise your hands, kids. I promise Donald J. Trump that I will never take drugs. I don't want to say no alcohol, but take it easy on the alcohol, right? And you know what else? No cigarettes, right? All right, kids, come here. Come here. Come here.
Mexico has responded to Donald Trump's threat of 25% tariffs across the board by suggesting they would impose tariffs in response to Donald Trump setting off a trade war that will hurt both economies. Now, President of Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum, warned that Donald Trump is not going to be pacified this time around. He is dealing with a brand new president, one that will not just accept what he's doing and try to make him happy. She will counter with tariffs of her own. And she called out one industry in particular, and that is our manufacturing industry, and said this: "It is unacceptable and would cause inflation and job losses in Mexico and the United States. If tariffs go up, who will it hurt? General Motors." She called out the American worker and let them know this is what you can look forward to if this man imposes the tariffs that he claims will be a miracle for you. This is what everybody warned about all campaign long. Now, there's nothing we can do about it now because here we are, Donald Trump won. But this should be a sign of the things to come. Everything that we've worked so hard to build is going to be destroyed by Donald Trump.
There is tension going on between the USA and Mexico. This is after Mr. Donald Trump imposed 25% tariffs on Mexican imports unless Mexico takes a stricter measures against drug trafficking and migration across the border. Now, in response, the Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum and Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard have warned that Mexican will retaliate with equivalent tariffs on U.S. imports, arguing this could harm both economies, especially key industries like automotives and manufacturing. There is a tit-for-tat game which is going on, and I think other countries are also waking up because the US is acting like there is nothing to lose. And this is through Mr. Donald Trump just issuing 25% on, 25% on tariffs and imported goods and services which comes from Mexico. And they are doing this as if Mexico has nothing that they can also do. I think they also did the same with China, and China has also retaliated. I want us to watch this video and how people responded to this. I think it's important that, we also get to hear people's opinion in regards to this. And I hope that we are all getting to learn and see how things are happening across the world. As you know, these are presenter Jintok Stories, and let's watch the video. I'll be back because this is getting better and better. Because honestly, if these tariffs materialize, the US-Mexico relations could face a significant strain. They are close and they have economic ties that they have had for the longest time, except for border issues, the cartels, the drugs, and everything. But economically, I could see that they have both, benefited, because this could lead to a significant strain, especially economically, because the increased cost will disrupt trade under the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, that's the USMCA, and could exacerbate inflation in the US. Additionally, retaliatory tariffs by the Mexico will arm American exporters, potentially soaring long-term economic ties, right? So let's watch the video. I'll be back. I'll be telling you the implications that this might have to the United States economy, to the Mexico economy, because even the Chinese have retaliated. And it's not about the US being the big dog. It's also about other countries. Now we are going to play fair with you. And that's how other countries are reasoning. I'm glad that they're waking up and they are owning what they're waking up for. Let's watch the video. I'll be back.
But let's continue to see what they got to say.
Now, the tone of this letter is very important because Mexico's president is not just talking about tariffs, about the economic relationship with the United States, but also the border relationship with the United States, because Mexico has done a lot to help the Biden administration control the migration that is coming into the U.S. southern border.
Like, let the caravans just walk right on over here, huh?
Border, which begs the question about what is happening on the U.S. southern border, given that Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming U.S. border czar, Tom Homan, are on the border today. Here's the reality. The migrant apprehension numbers are extremely low. I talked to a law enforcement source, Jim, who says that on Sunday, migrant apprehensions were about 1,500. If you compare that to December of 2023, when 10,000 people were crossing the border per day, that just gives you a sense of the dramatic change. The reality is, and I've talked to both.
And they're flying them over here now, but they're still coming straight through Mexico.
People on the ground, agents, and also advocates who work on the border, they say it is very quiet right now, very low, despite what you're hearing from Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming border czar, Tom Homan. Back to you.
All right, Rosa Flores, important.
It's funny because Tom Homan just said that they're about to hit the ground running and they're now waiting for the Biden administration or for the Trump administration to take office on January 20. He's already working with the Texas governor, but we're going to get to that in a completely different video.
Context. Thank you very much.
What do Americans want in terms of what were their top priorities for Trump? This is according to CBS News YouGov poll that came out. Their highest priority is lower prices. 79% of Americans want lower prices. Just 26% say put tariffs on imports. So his strategy here can undercut what voters want him to do.
Sure, but this, threatening tariff.
Whoa! What do we have here, buddy? Jesus Christ.
Particularly against Mexico and other Central American countries, was basically the central pillar of his diplomatic approach to migration when it came to this region. So yes, while those economic concerns are true, the president-elect he does gravitate towards immigration and migration as his primary issue. This is one of his basically go-to steps when it comes to his approach for these nations. The other thing that's not being talked about as much is sort of Mexico's response to this as well. In order to do many of those ambitious plans that the president-elect has been talking about, sweeping border restrictions, mass deportations, you also need somebody to take in those people that you're reporting, that being the Mexican government. They've been basically a collaborator and one of the prime reasons that the Biden administration has been able to drive down border crossings recently. And today, the Mexican government also issued a response to the president-elect.
Just before you jump in, just to read that response from Claudia Sheinbaum, the Mexican.
We know what the response is. We just looked at it. The fact of the matter is, the biggest thing that Americans want is for people to stop taking advantage of taxpayers in the United States of America and its citizens. And we want to close off our borders. We're tired of people letting all of the most vile people get into office and then them assisting each other and pushing the worst of the worst into the United States of America. And so I'm actually happy and glad because one of the things that Trump did in his first term was renegotiate NAFTA, the North America Free Trade Agreement, because obviously it was completely in the favor of Mexico and Canada. And now China and other countries are leveraging Mexico and their soft stance on taking care of business in order to basically circumvent what's going on inside the United States of America. But I'll stay on top of it. I'm definitely going to be giving y'all the insight and updates on what's happening. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Make sure you get your tickets to come and kick it with me in person. All of that is in the description. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.
President-elect Donald Trump is threatening to slap a 25% tariff on all products from Canada and Mexico when he takes office in January. Trump posted on his Truth Social page saying in part, "As one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States." He said it's an effort to control the influx of drugs and illegal immigrants from entering the U.S. Now, over in Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau chimed in and said,
"I had a good call with Donald Trump last night again. We talked about some of the challenges that we can work on together."
Plus, Ontario's Premier Doug Ford posted on X and said in part, a 25% tariff would be devastating to workers and jobs in both Canada and the United States. He went on to say, Prime Minister Trudeau must call an urgent meeting with all premiers. Well, Trudeau responded to Ford and he said,
I reached out immediately to Doug Ford to agree with him that we would have a First Ministers meeting.
Now the President of Mexico has responded.
She said, quote, President Trump, neither threats nor tariffs will solve the issue of migration or drug consumption in the United States. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response.
Online reactions have been pouring in, and here at the BG Show, we've gathered some of the responses.
With this economic policy, people are going to be hurting in their pockets.
Does Donald Trump just want to shake everything up? Or, shock value?
A tool with trade to counter other problems you have outside of trade. Is that effective? We'll see.
So BG Squad, how do you feel about the potential 25% tariff? Let us know in the comments.
Donald Trump is threatening to put 25% tariffs on Canadian as well as Mexican products entering the United States. So this will be devastating to Canada as well as Mexico. And you just have to wonder, does Donald Trump just want to shake everything up for, shock value? Because he's all about the shock value. But one comment he made that I thought was uncanny and that I thought was inconsistent was Mexico and Canada need to fix their drug problem with drugs flowing into the United States. And I'm thinking, really, is Canada that bad? I mean, not to diss Mexico, but with the cartels, they're one of the biggest that are actually flowing into the United States. However, Doug Ford is tripping out. Now, I think this is catching Doug Ford by surprise because, not to make assumptions, but he seems like the Trump kind of guy. He kind of seems like that guy that supports Trump, but he's definitely not happy about these.
Okay, so you all heard by now that the Trump administration has announced that they're going to be applying 25% tariffs on Canadian exports to the U.S. as of January 20th when Donald Trump takes the presidency, okay? But here's the key thing. This isn't a sure done deal. He's just giving an ultimatum, Donald Trump, that if Canada doesn't get its shit together and stop the illegal immigration and narcotics flowing across the border, he's going to do this. It's a negotiation tactic. He wants to see the Canadian government get serious about these two items that are a top agenda for the Trump administration. So Canada, we have about 2 months to come up with a plan to figure out how we are going to do everything in our power to prevent illegal immigration across the border and narcotics flowing south. If we can show that we're doing everything in our power, I highly doubt that these 25% tariffs are going to come into effect. So Trudeau, let's get our shit together and come up with a plan and put it in place. Take care.
Hey USA, what's new with you? So Trump said that now we're gonna have 25% tariffs on stuff that are coming from Canada and the US. Are you serious? Bro, what? We literally had a deal to make trading together easier and you're doing that? Wait guys, sorry, what are tariffs? Oh, you don't know? Okay, so for example, let's say a company here wants to get a toy from Canada. They pay extra taxes because the toy is coming from another country, not from the US. And to cover the costs, the company usually charges more to the people, so people pay more. So why are you doing that to us? Well, Trump is saying that you guys aren't stopping illegal immigration in a good way. Shouldn't that be your responsibility? Yeah, bro, like, we're trading together. Why are you doing that? Well, I'm doing what's better for our country. You're actually not. Experts are saying that it's gonna be worse than 1930s. What happened in the 1930s? It did something similar, and boy, did trade go badly. Okay, that might be a problem. It is, especially that 83% of our exports went to you, US, and for us it was 75%. Bro, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, you guys' currencies went down, but I'm fine. You know your economy could fall too, right?
Welcome back to the channel. You just saw people's reaction and how people manage to, see how they feel about all what's happening across the world. Now, I'm going to be talking about the background of the conflict because it's important to make other people understand what's really happening. The Trump's tariffs threats are consistent with his previous rhetoric linking trade to immigration and other border controls. His policies aim to pressure Mexico into stricter enforcement of border security and action against cartel. On the other hand, Mexico has rebuked these measures as punitive, especially given the close economic integration established by the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, that's the USMCA, which designed to foster cooperation rather than conflict. Now, what are the economic implications for the US? US being in the middle of all this, what are the economic implications for the people of US and the US itself? Now, consumer costs. Tariffs will raise prices for goods imported from Mexico, such as cars, electronics, and agricultural products, exacerbating inflation in the US. 2. Supply chain disruption. The deeply interconnected nature of US-Mexico trade means that American industries, especially automotives and manufacturing, rely on Mexican imports. Tariffs will increase production costs, reducing competitiveness. Definitely, there are retaliation risks. Mexico is one of the largest importers of US goods. Retaliatory tariffs by Mexico will harm American exporters, particularly in agriculture, talking about corn, soybeans, and pork, potentially alienating Trump's rural base. The third thing that I'm going to be talking about is economic implications for Mexico. Export dependency. Mexico relies heavily on exports to the US, which accounts for over 80% of its trade. Tariffs will severely impact industry like manufacturing and agriculture and electronics. Economic resilience. Despite these risks, Mexico's economy, Minister Marcelo Ebrard has highlighted the country's strong negotiation position due to its role key in US supply chains and the USMCA structure. Ask yourself, what are the political implications of this? Now, we have strained relations. These dispute risks undoing years of progress in US-Mexico cooperation under the USMCA, shifting relations from partnership to confrontation. Because now it's not like partnership, it's like Mr. Trump is trying to confront the Mexico for some other things. Yet for long past years, they have been working as partners and not people who point fingers on each other, right? Because they'll say that now it's it for that. Now you're pointing some problem to us. We're also going to be pointing this to you. And this is something which, can happen. Because the other countries are realizing that they can also do what they can do to also make US suffer, as they are trying to make other countries also suffer as a result of this. Political implication that I'm going to be talking about again is Mexican sovereignty. President Sheinbaum strong response underscores Mexico's unwillingness to bow to extreme pressure, which could strengthen nationalist sentiments domestically. Yeah. They could show a picture like, all right, Mexico still got a voice, and they're not going to be just failing for the punitive policies that Mr. Donald Trump is trying to push to them, right? And them retaliating is they're trying to send a message that you're not going to just be talking about us the way you think you are waking up and just telling us things to do the way you want us to do, because we also have some other things that we can also say to you. And you can also do, and that will enhance the Mexican sovereignty. I'm also going to be talking about US domestic politics. Trump's focus on tariffs may appeal to his political base, but it's risky alienating key economic stakeholders who depend on Mexico for trade, and that's true. And The fifth thing that I'm going to be talking about is broader context of US-Mexico relations. The proposed tariffs reflect a deeper challenge in US-Mexico relation, where economic interdependence clashes with political and security concerns. While the two nations are major trading partners, issues like migration, drug trafficking, and labor rights have created persistent tension. Now, what are the implications, the future implications of this? What's the future outlook of this? You might want to ask yourself, now that everyone wants to retaliate what US is trying to do, what are the future implications? What's the future outlook for this? If this is implemented, if let's say Trump implements this, and Mexican government also implements what they are implementing, this is what has to happen. This could lead to trade war, hurting both economies. However, Mexico's strong integration into US supply chains give it leverage in negotiations. This conflict also highlights the fragility of international agreements like the USMCA when political priorities shift. And I think China is also doing the same, because China has also escalated the trade tension by responding to US tariffs with its own measures. Recently Biden administration imposed up to 100% tariffs on various Chinese goods, including electric vehicles, solar panels, and batteries, citing concerns over subsidies and an unfair competition. In response, China threatens retaliatory tariffs up to 25% on imported vehicles from the US and Europe. Additionally, China has expressed frustration and European investigation into the electric vehicle subsidies, accusing Western nations of undermining Chinese industries while protectionist policies. Right now, this tit-for-tat escalation highlights broader economic dispute. Both US and European views China's dominance in the electronic vehicles and renewable energy markets as a challenge to local industries. Meanwhile, China perceives the tariffs as an attempt to stifle its economic growth and technological advancement. These tensions are further compounded by China's recent complaints to the World Trade Organization about the US Inflation Reduction Act, which Beijing claims unfairly prioritizes American-made clean technologies. Right? And you understand that such measures have the potential to strain supply chains, increase cost of manufacture and consumers, and slow the adoption of green technology. Additionally, they could deepen division in international trades relations, particularly between China and Western nations. This situation also risks affecting other economic sectors, with potential ripple effects across the global markets. These are presented Gene Tech Stories. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, peace out.